As you all know, this year 2024, English Paper 2 Excerpt will come from the Fathers of Nations. I have 25 excerpts with answers that can help you as you prepare. Get your PDF copy by contacting 0726 468915 at an affordable and reasonable price. Here is Excerpt Uber 25. Questions and Answers on Fathers of Nations. Excerpt 25. Read the following excerpt and answer the questions that follows. What are your expectations? Please don't get me started. I expect the summit to be a historical moment. If adopted, Way Omega will change African politics dramatically. Just think, no more rigged elections, well, no more foul play, period. Dr. Afolabi, not all the heads of state assembled here are fair players. In fact, a few are out foul players. They rose to power through military coups or rigged elections. Those won't be walking along Way Omega anytime soon, will they? Change is always like that, Ms. Mackenzie. One side of it has defenders of existing arrangements. These, sure about their loss if those arrangements end, fight tooth and nail to keep them. The other side has challengers of existing arrangements. These not yet sure about their gain if new arrangements replace old arrangements. Do not fight so hard to win them. Ha! What did you just say, Dr. Afolabi? You are not listening to me anymore, are you, Ms. Mackenzie? Anyway, I was saying Way Omega will put Africa on a new course, free from the obstacles that have defeated its past efforts. Imagine this, Ms. Mackenzie, Africa without coups, without civil wars, without... He stopped himself. Look who is rambling on now, Ms. Mackenzie. Yet can you blame me? I told you not to get me started, remember? Yes, I remember, and yet we have your book, Failure of States. Dr. Afolabi, may I ask you something? What makes you this optimistic about Africa's future now, when in that book you were very pessimistic? Is it the content of Way Omega or the prestige of its author? Questions on Fathers of Nations. Excerpt 25. 1. Describe how the African leadership is portrayed in the excerpt. 2 marks. 2. Make notes on Dr. Afolabi's tray. 5 marks. 3. Is Dr. Afolabi justified to be optimistic at the summit? Support your answer. 2 marks. 4. Referring to elsewhere in the book, explain why there is irony in what Dr. Afolabi tells Fiona about the Way Omega. 6 marks. 5. Comment on any 2 features of style used in the excerpt. 4 marks. 6. What events follow after this extract? 3 marks. 7. Compare Fiona and Dr. Afolabi's relationship now and later in the book. 3 marks. Answers on Fathers of Nations. Excerpt 25. 1. Describe how the African leadership is portrayed in the excerpt. 2 marks. Corrupt, some rise and retain power mostly through coups, rigged elections and foul play. Inept, insensitive to the needs of the African citizens. They fight for status quo. 2. Make notes on Dr. Afolabi's tray. Knowledgeable, has written a book on the failure of states. knowledgeable, has written a book on the failure of state. Hypocritical, speaks in support of Way Omega to Fiona, but behind the scenes he advocates to Path Alpha and even introduces it at the summit. Optimistic, he believes that the summit will bring change. Learned, he is a FT holder. 3. Is Dr. Afolabi justified to be optimistic at the summit? Support your answer. Yes, he advocates for change and he is a key speaker and influencer at the summit. He will recommends for change. 4. Referring to elsewhere in the book, explain why there is irony in what Dr. Afolabi tells Fiona about the Way Omega. Dr. Afolabi is here for the adoption of Path Alpha, not Way Omega. He is the paving way for Prof. Kime, Comrade Melujar and Pastor Kiamaka, who has been recruited by Tadlogway to come and support Path Alpha at the summit. 5. Comment on any 2 features of style used in the excerpt. Dialogue. Fiona interviews Dr. Afolabi. Sarcasm. Fiona sarcastically asks Dr. Afolabi why he had suddenly changed to optimism. What makes you suddenly this optimistic about Africa's future now, when in that book you were very pessimistic? Is it the content of Way Omega or the prestige of its author? 6. What events follow after this extract? Dr. Afolabi seethes with hatred from Fiona. He realizes that Fiona was very analytical person and not the lady he had undermined. Dr. Afolabi expresses his hunger and discomfort with Fiona's interviews. 7. Compare Fiona and Dr. Afolabi's relationship now and later in the book. Initially, it is hateful. Dr. Afolabi thinks that Fiona is arrogant as she interviews him. Later, after he rescues Fiona from an attacker at Seamount Hotel, they would strike a friendly relationship and drive. Afolabi would even host her in his room. They are friends in the rest of the story.